I wondered if you could tell us a bit about your area of study and its relationship to applied linguistics.
Okay, so my area of study is second language acquisition. So I'm primarily interested in how we learn second languages, how the language gets built up, gets in our heads, and both the sort of the kind of language that gets there, so the construction of the linguistic knowledge that we develop, but also the mechanisms that are used for second language learning to take place. So although my focus is on learning and what happens in the mind of learners primarily, it's linked to applied linguistics in the sense that it's really important for teachers to understand how learning takes place, to better understand what their learners are going through. For example, understanding why they make errors, that it's not necessarily because they haven't listened or they haven't paid attention or they're lazy. It might just be a developmental stage they have to go through, and I think that's very important for teachers to understand.
Great, thank you. And could you tell us a little bit about what your talk was about at the conference, or will be about in your case?
Okay, so the talk, the bit called the lecture I'm going to give is specifically on the role of formulaic language in the acquisition of the second language system. So formulaic language is kind of the set phrases that we build up as speakers of languages that we use pretty automatically. And which are thought to form an important part of our linguistic knowledge, along with the development of the grammatical system and so on. So what I'm interested in is seeing how what role this formulaic language plays in second language learning. So do we also use formulas as second language learners? They've been shown to be problematic for second language learners, and what is their role at different stages in the development of the second language?
That's great, thank you. And what do you see as the possible future directions for your area of research?
Well, in terms of the future areas of research, there is still a lot we do not know about second language acquisition and about the mechanisms involved in the mind in learning a second language, how two languages interfere with one another, or three languages, and so on. So the research agenda is still huge. We know quite a lot, but there's lots we don't know as well. And I think because of the applied implications, or the implications for teaching, for example, or for schools of this understanding. Another big part of my research agenda is actually working with schools, working with policymakers to try to ensure that what we do in schools policy are informed by research evidence that we have.
Thank you. Finally then, could you tell us what advice you would give to early career researchers, ECRs, starting out in your area?
Okay, that's a difficult question. The question of what advice to give to ECRs and young researchers generally, because it's a tough environment to start out in. What I would say is use mentors, use advice from people who've gone through that. Don't think you're struggling alone to try to make your way. I think there will be lots of people willing to give you advice. Also be clear about what your goals are. So publication is still the major gateway into academia. So having high quality publications is still very important to get that first job, to get promotion and so on. So ensure that you have clear publication goals and you put time aside for those. So that means learning to say no to some things you might want to do, but be clear what your priorities are. And I think, if you're doing good work and have a clear strategy for your future, you'll get there and you'll flourish like many people in academia do.